Vulture, the second core dynamic ship in the price range, costing over 100 times more than Eagle. So, is Vulture really 100 times better?
Saying it's 100 times better would be a bit of a stretch, since I'd be pretty surprised if a Vulture could even handle a single wing of Eagles solo, let alone 100, but it certainly is a kick-ass ship, and one of my favorites.
Quite so. As I've learned in my endeavors, ship manufacturers tend to overprice everything. For whatever reason, I thought that Core Dynamics, the makers of, and I quote myself here, almost the perfect ship, were different.
While they might not be entirely different, there is one thing that does stand out about the Vulture. It looks like a ship that can dish out some punishment. Instead of the Vulture, they probably should have named this one the Door Wedge, because it looks nothing like an actual Vulture. Although the ship does perform as its namesake and easily picks the meat off the bones of its victims, the sleek, back-heavy design reminds me of a muscle car with those giant rear wheels, putting the aesthetic focus on the huge engines, while the slimmed-down front really emphasizes the massive guns.
When it comes to visibility, it's almost great, the main problem being those fucking front bumpers. Better yet if you apply ship kits to add to the length of them, then say hello to the tunnel vision.
As far as those bumpers in the front, they don't really bother me too much. In fact, I think for a combat-focused ship, and believe me, that's all this ship is really good for, they kinda act as a pair of blinders, keeping your sights focused on your target, which is an important design factor in any combat-focused ship, always having your prey in your crosshairs and not getting distracted by anything else.
Right, so the only other ship I can compare this when it comes to the looks is its predecessor, Eagle, and you certainly can see where Core Dynamics was going with Vulture's cockpit. While I personally love the tight, claustrophobic coffin pit that Eagle has, maybe because I'm some sort of weirdo or a vampire, in any case, Vulture gives us neat, tight, tidy, and unlike the lazy, hackjob-riddled cockpit, some well-painted panels.
Speaking of coffins, you may as well have a corpse sitting in that second seat located behind the pilot's chair. This has got to be one of the most useless multi-crew seats in the game. I mean, seriously, why the hell would you ever invite someone to this ship? The Vulture can't hold a ship-launch fighter, so that option's out. If you're dumb enough to put a turret weapon on this ship, you shouldn't just be ashamed and embarrassed, but you should actually delete your account right now and never try space combat ever again.
As we move on to the real meat of things, Vulture, as mentioned before, is good only for combat. Seriously, if you want to trade or explore in this thing, I gotta ask, how many bottles of bleach are you drinking daily? The fucking thing's got less cargo space than Cobra 3 and jump range is beyond what I would call shit. But if you ever decide to go mining with Vulture, there seriously has to be something wrong with you. It'd be like going fishing salmon with a whale harpoon. At least when the big boys would come to laugh at your retarded ass, you would survive for some time thanks to that asbestos-covered Kevlar armor. Sure, it regularly gives pilots cancer, but at least now you know why most fucks flying in Core Dynamic ships are so cancerous.
And just like a cancer, this ship allows its pilot to kill indiscriminately, since the only ship with better maneuverability is the Eagle, which has nowhere near the stopping power of the Vulture, let alone shield and armor rating, which the Vulture also leads in its class. You can boost the shields to a whopping 700 megajoules without a single visit to an engineer. The only other way to get that sort of protection is to buy yourself a Fer-de-Lance, which would cost you another 36 million credits. And with a Class 5 power distributor, you can outshoot every other ship in its class, and many of the medium-sized ships as well. But your outfitting options are going to be severely limited by the less than adequate power plant.
Ever since the beginnings, or at least when I first got the Vulture, I quickly realized a thing or two about the ship. It has no juice. In essence, you have enough of it to quench the thirst of one child, but you have 3 of them on board, constantly running around, making you wish you were dead. Aside from the nagging thought of what the fuck have I done with my life to end up here, you have to properly manage your ship's systems and other things to support even the basic modules you have equipped. Of course, if you have Horizons, you can just break the game and engineer the fuck out of your power plant. Woo!
I've been playing the game for 3 years, and ever since I picked up my first Vulture, it's been my combat ship of choice. In fact, I've never had the urge to upgrade to a medium-sized ship since the Vulture has met all of my needs as an intermediate combat pilot. And by meeting my needs, I mean that it's the only combat ship that I was ever able to fully afford and outfit properly.
Now, before we give our final thoughts, let me tell y'all a story. A story of young potato muncher who one day took out his precious Vulture for a daily hunt, and as per usual wanted to fly in style. So, boosting out to the station was in order. Without much care, he lifted off, and slammed his fucking face against the mail slot and exploded. Annoyed, he bought back his ship, and did it again! No one knows if he was lobotomized or just plain retarded, but having no rebuy money for the second time, he went bankrupt and gave up the game. Almost. You may ask, where is he today? Well, some say he's sitting in a corner, shitting in his hand and throwing feces at anything that moves. Yet some claim seeing him relentlessly beating multiple dead horses in an attempt to set some sort of a record. Others say that he invites people with actual talent to work on a project and then single-handedly drags the collective IQ down by 20 points minimum. Whichever the case, the point of the story is also the rule number 1 of Elite Dangerous. Don't fly without rebuy, you fuck!
In the hands of an experienced combat pilot, in my opinion, for its class, the Vulture's combat capabilities are second to none. It will outturn, outshoot, and, well, okay, maybe it won't outrun everything, but with all it brings to the table, you won't need to worry about that, since you'll be dispatching your enemies so quickly, they won't have a chance to run away. If you've managed to save yourself a few credits and looking for your next ship, get a Vulture. You won't regret it.
Now then, we both stated already that Vulture is a purebred combat ship, much like Viper ships. But unlike them, TheYamiks is not a cheap hack who can't afford even a single bucket of paint to color the dashboards right. But anyways, in a phrase, Vulture to me is like John Wick. Needs only 2 guns to kick everyone's ass.
Good reference, TheYamiks, but I think that the quick turning speed of the ship might leave you seeing double, so I'd say that it's more like Doc Holliday. 2 guns, 1 for each of you.